All right, Scorp. So this week from Halloween, you pulled a werewolf, exploring wildness. And then from Hidden Realms, the word Lord, communication, praise, and dishonesty. Now, this one did show up as a challenge for you. When we're talking about exploring, your inner self here or inner wildness, there may be dishonesty as far as your own self-image is what I feel like more so than anything else. Now, werewolf is talking about needing to go outside. When was the last time you spent all day outside? Right? And needing to explore the world. But then it's also about the battle between nature and your own nature. But looking at, the word Lord, and you're talking about dishonesty, it's, you not being truthful with yourself about your own true nature. Now, the other part of this also says that you don't have to engage others that would want to project their own fears and negativity onto you. The other thing it talks about is, are you saying self-deprecating words? It's also about the way that you speak to yourself. So I think for a lot of you right now, you're not being honest with yourself about who you truly are. All right, Scorp. Here's your overall for the week. The Four of Pentacles. What is it that you're holding on to? That I get for Scorpio more than anything else. Now, with the Four of Pentacles, there's the fear of losing what stability you have gained. That's why, this person is like desperately hanging on to what they have. Now, some of you may be doing some penny pinching, right? Because I look at the image and thinking saving everything that you possibly can. But holding on too tightly, that immediately stuck out to me with this one. What is it that you're not wanting to change? Now, in the past, the Queen of Pentacles. Now, this could very simply be about, some of you may not be feeling very secure about where you are financially, and there may be some fear around giving anything right now, with the Four of Pentacles being the overall. But looking at the Queen of Pentacles as the past, absolutely, you could be dealing with a person, right? But because of them in your space, and again, the insecurity about who you are and what you have, and like I've always said, I look at the Queen of Pentacles and I don't ever think that she needs anybody to help her. Some of you, in the past may have been really self-sufficient, but looking at the Four of Pentacles now, something has changed. In the present, talking about change, the Wheel of Fortune, damn. So, I feel like something is happening to you that you feel like is no longer in your control. More so than I feel like, fate and destiny stepping in. I think it's something that you're meant to go through, but not being able to control what is happening may be, the reason why you're keeping yourself in this place of not wanting to change. That I keep getting more than anything. But what is it that's coming back around, though? Oh, shit. All right. And then talking about dishonesty, and there you go with the Seven of Swords. Ugh. Now, it could just be that some of you are wanting to get out of a situation here, but needing to do it in secret. And you need to take what you can and get the hell out. Absolutely. Some of you may be being dishonest about, what you have because there is fear of loss because things are changing. Some of you may have some secretive plans here. I don't so much feel like, it's about anything that you're not aware of, and I don't think that this is going to have to do with somebody else who is trying to deceive you. And it's not so much that you're intentionally trying to be dishonest. Like, I don't get that, which is weird because normally I'd be like, Scorpio, what are you doing? Quit lying, quit hiding. I just think that some of you are purposely not being truthful about, what you have because you may not have that much. And it may be that things are changing too quickly. And it's like, no. I can't right now. I can't give anything. But what is it that you're wanting to get away from, though? Your best path to follow, the Knight of Cups. You needing to be honest with yourself about how you really feel is what I get from this. When you're looking at the Knight of Cups, you're talking about, first of all, the messenger of love and romance, right? But as far as an action, especially with you, it's going to be about, honesty when it comes to your own feelings. Do you know how you feel, right? Is this something that puts you in a gray area, which is never a good thing for Scorpio? But then on the other hand, it may be that you need to be honest and possibly offer something here, but you're not wanting to. You would rather keep it secret, looking at the Seven of Swords, But why? Why? And then with the Knight of Cups too, you're talking about following where your heart leads you. But I don't know. I think more so that this is you needing to offer something, but you're not. In your environment, the Nine of Cups. So not wanting to change where you feel like you're fine. Like I feel like some of you are okay with the fact that, things are being kept quiet. But then also with the Nine of Cups and then looking at the Wheel of Fortune, absolutely this could be about something changing where you actually get what you want this time, but you're not saying anything though, and then that happiness though may lie in the fact that at one point you may have been like independent, self-sufficient, looking at the Queen of Pentacles. But this could also be about, like I said, somebody that you're dealing with, and maybe some of you don't feel secure enough right now in opening up or offering anything. But things are happening right now. I look at that Nine of Cups and I think, for some of you, it's you're happy where you're at right now. Things don't need to change. Why do I have to say anything? Why do I need to offer anything up? Why can't I just keep this to myself? But then does the opportunity present itself, and it's a real opportunity here for you to have what you have been wanting, but then do you just like, no, I'm fine just keeping things to myself? Wow. Your hopes and your fears, the Ten of Wands. And the thing is what gets me here is if we're talking about things that you're keeping to yourself, it's weighing on you. With that Ten of Wands, hoping to kind of release it all, right? Drop the load, drop the burdens. But you're fine, like you're okay with it. And then that's the kicker here. I feel like some of you are okay with the fact that there may be some things that you're keeping to yourself that are weighing on you. Because, for you, it's almost like, yeah, the wheel may be turning, but I am not ready yet. Like, you're not ready to give anything or to have anything change. And I say that because of the Seven of Swords ultimately coming out on this. And then your advice here being the Knight of Cups. Being open and honest about how you feel and actually going where your heart is leading you and offer it up, right? But like you're like, no. Wow. And then coming out the Six of Pentacles, and here's the thing, the sad thing is that, it could definitely suggest here with the Six of Pentacles that you come out of this and you're willing to give, right? And you're met with an equal amount, which is great. But I don't think that you do. And the sad thing is I don't think that you're open to even considering receiving anything, whether it's equal or not. Yeah, oh my goodness. All right. So the Moon, the Sun, and the Eight of Cups. Shit. Yeah, a little bit of equal give and take here between, illusion and clarity for sure. Right. And with the Moon, like I've always said with this one, to me, it's seeing things in a very distorted way, seeing yourself in a distorted way. And then I go back to the Oracle cards, which absolutely makes sense, which may be why some of you may be feeling a little bit insecure. With the Sun, the Nine of Cups, and the Wheel of Fortune, right? That's a great thing. Finally getting that clarity, seeing everything for what it is, right? And there may be something that's coming through to you right now that you feel really good about, but I don't think that you're wanting anything to change. And then you come out with the Eight of Cups where you're like, I'm just going to walk away from it. And that, again, I go right back to this feeling of, well, why are you doing this? I think that with the Six of Pentacles, especially with the clarifiers here, that some of you may not feel like you're going to receive anything. If you offer something up to somebody, especially on an emotional level, I worry that for some of you, you look at it and think, why should I give? Especially with the Four of Pentacles being there, if there's a possibility that I'm not going to get anything back. But I think with the Six of Pentacles showing up, it is there. It's there. You may receive what you've always been wanting, but I think that you're okay with, being secretive about what you actually want. And I don't think that you want things to change right now. And I think that with the Eight of Cups, you may get pushed to a point where you're just like, no, I'm not. I'm not. Oh, man. And it could be that with the moon and then looking at the Eight of Cups, that, with the sun being in the middle here, that you finally realize that there are things that you've been feeding into, that are no longer serving you. And possibly maybe opening up here to, receiving something after you give, But this to me is not going to have to do with money. I don't think that that's it at all. But the kicker for me is looking at that Ten of Wands and thinking, you're okay with the fact that it's been weighing on you for a while. It's just, it is what it is. Like, I don't think that, you're ready to have that release. Because I look at this and think you're fine with keeping things and then gratitude, wow. Be grateful for all the good things, right? Gratitude, so important. Preach it all the time. Just be. Don't, it's funny because I want to tell you that you need to offer something up here because you're going to be met equally with, the same amount of feelings, I feel like. But for some of you, you just need to be loved. But your intuition, though, is saying that, it needs to be gratitude for the things that you have. I'm looking at this and I feel like for you, it's like you just need to be within the flow of the events that are going to happen, right? Pay attention to what your intuition is telling you and be grateful for the good things that do show up. But be careful about, not opening up though either. So if we're talking about love here, especially with the Knight of Cups, then there is a need for you to see things from a different perspective, absolutely. Because of, the connection, right? And I think it's there. I just think that some of you don't see it, and that may be why we're looking at needing to pay attention to what your intuition is telling you here. I don't know. I just think that for some of you, you're fine with the fact that you're keeping things to yourself and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if fate and destiny steps in and shows you an opportunity to get everything that you've ever wanted. I don't think that you're going to act on it. And if you do, it's going to be done in a secret way, but I don't think that that's it because your advice here is the Knight of Cups. I think some of you are happy with the level of stability that you found, regardless of the fact that you may have things that are weighing on you. I'm telling you, and definitely you're seeing yourself in a very distorted way. And I'm hoping that, eventually here you're going to receive, these really good things. And that you stop feeding into those ideas that, for some of you may feel like you're not worthy of receiving, which may be an issue for some of you. But as far as love goes, right? Seriously, this is a good thing. But you're not opening up. And that's the biggest problem. All right, Scorp. So this one, it gets me. I know the feeling. I know the feeling of withholding information, especially in regards to how you feel and then having it weigh on you, but you being perfectly fine with being in that position right now because you don't want anything to change. I'm telling you, that's what's going on here. Definitely with the Four of Pentacles, right? Not willing to give. And I think it's because for some of you, it's you're not willing to give up that information that you're withholding here until you see something first. Looking at the Six of Pentacles. But then I go back to just be. And I think this card very specifically says you don't actually have to act in order to receive the things that you've been wanting. And then I look at the Wheel of Fortune and the Nine of Cups and I think, and then looking at the Six of Pentacles coming out, it's yes, finally getting what you want, right? But then I do think that some of you are happy with where you are at right now and not wanting to have anything change at all looking at these. But I'm telling you, it's like weighing on you looking at the Ten of Wands. Like, I can't get over that feeling of oppression, especially when it comes to, how you're feeling here. And again, I look at this and I think there needs to be more honesty about, how you really feel, but you need to offer that up. If you want to see, what you've been wanting. I mean, the wheel is turning here, it's happening, but I think that you're just going to withhold. Now, looking at the moon and the sun and the Eight of Cups, do you finally get that clarity where you stop looking at yourself in a distorted way here and feeling insecure? And do you stop feeding into that? And once you do that, are you receiving exactly what you wanted? Which is possible, because I'm telling you, you are being dishonest with yourself about who you really are. You are seeing yourself in a very distorted way looking at those two. But again, right, like, just be. You don't have to do anything here. You just need to listen to your intuition. And anytime you look at intuition and you look at like the High Priestess or even mysticism and chakra wisdom, all of them say the same thing. It's not about action. It's about observing things, right? So needing to pay attention to your intuition, but be grateful for what actually comes to you. It's good. Like, I feel good about it, but then at the same time, I feel that heavy, like, emotional oppression that may be on you, and that may be why you're trying to, like, keep all of it to yourself. Like, and a lot of the reason why Scorpio does that, especially when it comes to feelings, is because it's so intense, it scares the shit out of most people. Like, wow, that's a little bit too much. I'm going to back off. You need to do the same. And then Scorpio's left going, like, you don't understand, right? And that's where Scorpio gets a really bad rep about, obsession and jealousy. It's just that you feel things in a really intense way because it's either existing or it's not, it's all or nothing. But, like, you don't even have to do anything here. But I still think that you're withholding. I don't think that you're looking to deceive anybody to get what you want. Because you're being asked here to be honest about how you feel. It would have been different had it been anything other than the Knight of Cups as your advice. And the fact that things are weighing on you. Now, and for a lot of you, the reason why this may be happening is because you need to look at, possibly relationships in a different perspective, because there is true love. I mean, all of it looks good to me. I just think that some of you right now are comfortable with the way things are. I don't think that you are open to have that change just yet. But, with the Eight of Cups, do you walk away from what you could potentially receive? Or are you walking away from the things that you've been feeding into that have been, not exactly true? Again, I don't think that you're looking to deceive anybody, because you're not giving. You're not giving anything here with the Four of Pentacles, but you end up receiving exactly what you've been wanting in the first place.